Hello, today we're going to do Module 5, Lesson 16. We're going to place the whole number fractions and unit fractions between numbers on the number line. So before we put it between 0 and 1, we're going to see what happens if we move it down further down the number line. Okay, before we get started with that, I would like to do a little bit of a review. So I would like you to draw a number line that looks like mine. And then I would like you to find and label 1/5 on my number line. How will you do that? Well, we need to first cut it into how many parts? We need to cut it into fifths. So let's cut this into fifths. It's approximate here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now where is 1/5? 1/5 is right here. So I'm going to put a dot right here. But let's label the others. This is 2/5. This one would be 3/5. This one would be 4/5. And this one right here, whoops, is going to be 5/5. Now what is this? 0? How many fifths is 0? 0 would be 0/5, right? We hadn't done that before, but I want to start doing that today. Okay, I want to do one more, just to make sure you can do this. Okay, I'm going to change to black. This time, let's do find me 2/3. Label your number line and show me 2/3. Well, first I'm going to have to cut it. Where am I going to cut my number line? I'm going to cut it into thirds. Right? So this is going to be from 0 here would be 1/3. From here to here would be 2/3. From 0 to 1 would be the same as 3/3. But what would 0 be? 0 would be 0/3. Now we need to mark it. Here it is, right here. Okay. Okay, let's do our application problem. Hannah bought 1 yard of ribbon to wrap 4 small presents. She wants to cut the ribbon into 4 equal parts. Draw and label a number line from 0 yards to 1 yards to show where Hannah will cut the ribbon. Label all the fractions, including 0/4 and 4/4, and label 0 yards and 1 yards also. Okay, so first of all, it says that they want us to draw a number line and label a number line. Oh, well, that's easy. Let's start with a number line. Put arrows on both sides to say it goes in both directions. Now she bought 1 yard, so I can put 0 yards here, can't I? Over here would be 0 yards. Right here would be the 1 yard. All right, now she wants to wrap 4 small presents and she wants to cut them into equal parts. She wants to cut that ribbon into equal parts. So how many pieces of ribbon will I need? I'm going to need 4. So let's cut 4. So I know if I cut it in half, that gives me 2. Cut my halves in half, that gives me 4. Cutting my halves in half right here. Okay, now I'm supposed to label the fractions, including 0/4 and 4/4. So we just practiced with a 0, so let's do that. This one right here would be 0/4. Just pause right there for a second. Right here, instead of putting it on the bottom, let's put it up at the top, because we're going to get confused. Okay, so this one's 0/4. How many fourths would this one be? This would be 1/4. This one would be 2/4. This one would be 3/4. And this one would be 4/4. Now, did we do everything we're supposed to do? Hannah bought 1 yard of ribbon to wrap 4 small presents. Okay, we cut it into 4 pieces. She wants to cut the ribbon into equal parts. Are they pretty equal? Okay, so far so good. Draw and label a number line from 0 to 1 yard. We did that to show where Hannah will cut the ribbon. Label all the fractions, including 0/4 and 4/4. We did that. And we needed to label 0 yards and 1 yards. We did that too. Great, we're done. Nice job. All right. Now, if you notice on my board here, before I had a 0 and 1, today we're going to change things up a little bit. Okay? Instead of having a 0 and 1 this time, on our endpoints, I would like you to write a 1 and a 2. So go ahead and draw this number line and put this here. Put a 1 on the first endpoint and 2 on the second endpoint. All right. Now, I have a question for you. Where did the 0 go? Where's the 0? Well, remember how we have arrows on this side? And we have an arrow on this side? Well, that just means that the number line keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going forever. Well, the 0 would be over here, right? So if 0 is over here, what would come after this one on this side? Well, what comes after 2? 3. When I give you your endpoints of 1 and 2, we are just looking at a piece of a number line. Remember that. It's only just a piece of the number line. So I'm going to erase this to get this out of the way. So the piece that I want to look at is between 1 and 2. Okay? This is the section of the number line we are looking at right now. Now, let's cut it into fourths. We're going to talk about fourths. So let's cut it into fourths. Okay. We're going to cut it in half. Then we're going to cut our halves in half. Cut our half in half. Now we have to label it. Okay, now because we have these numbers on the bottom just like last time, let's start putting some of the fractions up on top, just so that things don't get confused. Okay, so if I have 1, what would 1 whole be in fourths? How many fourths is 1 whole? Well, that would be 4 fourths, right? Okay, now 1 more fourth past that would be 5 fourths. 1 more fourth past that would be 6 fourths. 1 more fourth past this would be 7 fourths. 1 more fourths past that would be 8 fourths. Okay, now, does that make sense? Well, let's just draw this over here. If this is 0 and we cut this into fourths, we would have 0 fourths. Oh, let's put it up here. 0 fourths, 1 fourths, 2 fourths, 3 fourths, 4 fourths, 5 fourths, 6 fourths. Well, that makes sense because now we're past 1 whole, right? This was when we only were dealing with 1 whole. But now let's talk about more than 1 whole. For instance, maybe we have more than one pizza. If we have more than one pizza, we've got more fourths, right? Sure we do. Okay, now I'm going to erase this part. You can leave yours on, but I just want to erase mine to make it clear. Okay, now I would like you to draw a box around 4 fourths and 8 fourths. When you look at 4 fourths underneath, it is the same as 1, right? When you look at 8 fourths underneath, it's the same as 2. Okay, so we call, I want this one. We call 4 fourths equaling a 1 and 8 fourths equaling 2 a special kind of fraction. Let's see if I can get it to catch up with me. Equaling a 2. So 4 fourths equals 1 and 8 fourths equals 2. We call those special fractions. And let me tell you what those name of those fractions are. We call them equivalent fractions. Write that down. Equivalent fractions. 4 is equivalent to 1. 8 fourths is equivalent to 2. Okay, so these we are going to draw boxes around our equivalent fractions. Now I'm coloring them in just to really show you that those are special fractions. We call them equivalent fractions. 8 fourths is equivalent to 2. 4 fourths is equivalent to 1. Okay? Now, I have a question for you. We've talked a lot about the numbers that go on this side of the 1. What about on this side of my number line? What would be over here? I need my black again. Let me get black. Okay, here's my line, my number line. Where what would be, I want another equivalent fraction, but I want it for 3. What would be the equivalent fraction for 3? Now I know it's going to be fourths, some fourths. What would it be? Well, let's just do that real quick. I'm going to have to do it little. Don't have a whole lot of space. If this is 8 fourths, this would be 9 fourths. This one would be 10 fourths. This one would be 11 fourths. This one would be 12 fourths. So what's my equivalent to 3? It is 12 fourths, and I need to draw a box around it. So my equivalent fraction to 3 is 12 fourths. Okay? Well, how interesting. Because 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Huh, that sure is interesting. Let's do another one. Okay, now this time, I would like you to write on your endpoints 2 on this one, 4 on this one. This is the segment of the number line, or the section of the number line that we are going to look at. Now, what number comes between 2 and 4? 3. So mark it in half and put 3. Now this time, we're going to cut it into thirds. So let's cut between 2 and 3 into thirds. There we go. Now let's cut between 3 and 4 into thirds. Now let's label them. Now, how many thirds would 2 be? Well, what divided by 3 gives me 2? Ooh, 6. Okay, now that's an equivalent one. We're going to draw a box around that. Oh, I'm not very happy with that. I kind of smushed it. I didn't really want to smush that. I want that obvious. Okay, so 6 thirds. I'm going to draw my box around it. Okay, well, if that's 6 thirds, let's count up. So that would be 7 thirds. This would be 8 thirds. This is 9 thirds. Is that an equivalent fraction? It is, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. Ooh, so 9 thirds is equivalent to 3. Okay, now let's keep counting. After 9 thirds would be 10 thirds. Then we would have 11 thirds. This one is 12 thirds. Now wait a minute. Is 12 thirds equivalent to 4? Well, what's 12 divided by 3? Is that 4? It is, isn't it? Isn't that cool? Alright, so I'm going to just color in my equivalent fractions just because I want to. I don't really want you to. I just really want you to see them on my screen. So 6 thirds is equivalent to 2. 9 thirds is equivalent to 3. 12 thirds is equivalent to 4. Now how come I started with 6 thirds? How come I didn't start with 0 thirds? Well, I didn't start with 0 thirds because my endpoint on this segment of the number line was a 2, wasn't it? Well, 2 is definitely more than 0. Absolutely. Okay. So here I have, one thing I want to point out to you is that between 2 and 3, I have a hole, right? I have a hole. And from here to here, between 3 and 4, I have another hole. This number line is different than our other number lines because our other number lines only had one hole on it. This particular number line has 2 holes, doesn't it? Between 2 and 3 would be 1 hole. Between 3 and 4 is 1 whole fraction. So think of it as pizza. If this would be 1 whole pizza, this would be like 2 pizzas. This would be the 3rd pizza, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to stop here. As I'm looking over your homework real quick, they want you to put boxes around the equivalent fractions. They're pretty easy because they come right over the numbers, don't they? And you can always check because this divided by this equals this, right? Good way to check. And it looks to me like it's going to be relatively easy. So if you can't remember how to do this, go ahead and watch the video again, but you should be okay. Alright, talk to you soon. See you later.